Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So I wanted to talk about quite a few things. I actually really wanted to talk about a new teaser of sorts. I mean, it's basically the same trailer, but there's actually some extra shots that were shown. And yeah, definitely make sure to be a subscriber if you want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. And also, I will be doing my Q&A video tomorrow. So if you haven't joined the Discord yet, definitely go and do so. The server name is Appetite for the Dead. I'll be recording that tomorrow. And so if you do want to, ask me any questions and whatnot, there's still time to actually post some questions on the Q&A channel on the Discord. So, let's talk about the actual new shots here that were shown in the latest trailer here. So first of all, thank you to Sarah Rowan on Twitter. This is actually where I saw that, or sorry, it's not Twitter anymore, it's called X, but there's nothing that new on the trailer, and it seems like a lot of these trailers that are being released aren't being released online, but if you have AMC Plus, they're on there. So I've been seeing a lot of people asking me like, well, how are you seeing this and whatnot? It's on AMC Plus. Like, it's sort of the same thing I would say, like on cable, usually there'll be like these like 20 to 30 second like TV spots that have a lot of new footage and stuff like that, right? So it's sort of the same thing. But yeah, we have a shot here of the new character named Ash, and I haven't talked a lot about this character specifically, and this shot right here, you just see him like kill some walkers, and I'm assuming that this is when him and Carol arrive in France. They first get there and there's walkers coming out of the ground and whatnot, which is going to be very, very cool. But it looks like Carol is about to get like bit by a walker or something, and then I guess he kills the walker afterwards, right? And again, I haven't talked about him too much because there's not a lot to his story as of yet. Like, we do know that he is going to be helping Carol, and he's actually going to be a big reason as to why Carol does get to France. But other than that, there's not a lot of details around the character. So I think as soon as we watch the first episode, I think that's where there'll be a lot more focus on like, oh wow, he's actually a really great character, this and that, and sort of similar to a lot of the characters going into season 1, because Isabel is a character that everyone loves. Like, Isabel as a character is just really, really great, and obviously like you're not going to know that before watching like the episodes and whatnot, but it's kind of insane to think like before watching season 1 of Daryl Dixon, you had no idea who she was really. Like, all of us didn't really think she was going to be like this big of a character, and then all of a sudden she became like a fan favorite, right? So yeah, I'm really excited to see the first episode and just I guess meet Ash and just see what he brings to the story and whatnot. But our next shot here that we see is just sort of a extra shot of this explosion here that happens. It looks like it's at the nest. I'm not entirely sure where this is. I'm assuming it's the nest, but it might not be. And again, I don't know what is happening here, but because there was variant walkers in this shot here running towards a door that looks somewhat similar, I'm wondering if this was like a trap that was set up. So, get the variant walkers to, like run through this door, and then this all goes off here. I don't know if Quadrone's going to be in here because I know that, him as a character, first of all, I love him as a character, but I just feel like we're getting close to the end of his arc here. But it really depends, obviously, on, I guess, where they're planning to go here. But I just think that the next part of his story for season 2 is likely going to be the final part of his story, and it's probably going to be a redemption arc of sorts. And so I wonder if he saves Daryl and everyone else. And just because of this shot here of Quadrone where you see behind him a door that is somewhat similar to this shot right here. So I don't know, to me it seems like it is somewhat similar. But and then we get this shot here of Carol who leaves his bus here, and again, at this point in the story, I don't know what is actually going on. I don't know if this is Carol in the second episode and this is how she ends up with like Madame Genet's group and whatnot. Maybe she's caught at this point, I'm not entirely sure. But then we get this one shot here of Daryl, and just a very cool action shot here in general. So some really cool extra footage there that I thought I would just throw in this video here because I'm not going to do a whole video just focus on that entirely, obviously. But we also did learn some new details with The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon, and that is that the show is actually going to have a panel, or I guess a screening or whatever, at Palais Fest, I think is how you pronounce it. It's in October, so I think at that point we'll probably be around episode 2 or 3. I imagine they're probably going to show the episode that is happening like around that point. Like, there's no way they're going to show the first episode when you can just watch it on AMC Plus. I mean, maybe. It really depends, but I think a lot of the details for that are going to be happening probably in the next like month or so. Like, it's really funny with Daryl Dixon because it's August 6th right now. This show is premiering just next month. Like, we're getting very close to it being like a month and a half away, and it doesn't feel like it quite yet. But I think as we get to the end of August, literally like September 1st, it's going to be like, okay, the show's here. Like, honestly, for me personally, it's kind of hard to believe that in 2 months from now, it's going to be October already. Like, what? The summer flew by way too fast. Like, honestly, I can't even believe it. Like, I can't believe like in 2 months from now, it's going to be October. And what's so crazy about that to me is that 2 months ago, was roughly around the time where they actually had the screening for Daryl Dixon at the Tribeca Festival. And like for months before that, there was still nothing to talk about with The Walking Dead. So it really shows that like the last however many months, 5, 6, 7 months, or actually it's probably been like 5 months now, there really hasn't been a lot to talk about. And we still have, you know, the next, like, I guess the rest of this month and then a lot of September, right? This is probably going to be like the longest break we're going to have, you know, in between shows for quite some time, because I kind of like the schedule that they have anyways so far with the next 2 shows, which is you're going to have Daryl Dixon airing most likely every September, and then I think Dead City every single like February or March. The rumor is March, and so if it's March, obviously, and it's 8 episodes for that show, or even if it's 6 to 8 episodes, doesn't really matter. That's going to go until like early May, roughly end of April, early May. There'll still be a lot of talk about that going throughout all of May and whatnot, maybe going into June a tiny bit, but then things might get quiet for a little bit in June, but then there's going to be build up to Comic-Con. But then after Comic-Con, you're sort of excited for Daryl Dixon in September, right? And then that's going to go until November. There'll still be some talk about that going through December and whatnot. Maybe things are quiet in January, but then the trailer and all that stuff released for Dead City in like January, February or whatever will create a lot of excitement for March. And so I really like how they've spaced a lot of stuff out now. And that's not including any other spin-offs or any other, you know, things that we get with The Walking Dead. That's just like as of like the next like year or 2 that I can see, but who knows, we could get another spin-off that, you know, adds a lot more, which I hope we do get. I think what The Walking Dead is missing right now, personally, is an original spin-off. I don't want a spin-off on like other characters from Alexandria and all of that. I want an original spin-off. I really miss like new stories. Like, I think that was the whole thing that made The Walking Dead also really exciting as well, is like, as much as I didn't really like Fear the Walking Dead overall, I still appreciated that it was a show out there, because you would watch like the main show or whatever, and then you would watch Fear the Walking Dead here and there. And it was just like a different take, a different story in the zombie apocalypse that I actually, you know, enjoyed watching here and there. And I kind of miss that right now. Obviously, if they do an original series, I want it to be way better than Fear the Walking Dead. And I'm not saying all of Fear the Walking Dead is bad. Obviously, the first couple of seasons were really great, and season 6 was also really amazing. But I just, I think the overall direction, again, we all love those characters from Fear the Walking Dead. You know, like the main cast of Fear the Walking Dead are so memorable that if they came up with a new original series, that's also newer characters that we're going to meet, and there's going to be a whole new story there, a whole new world that's going to be built up right there, or we're all going to be wondering, are those characters going to be on these shows eventually, right? That's really what I want with The Walking Dead right now, is I want an original story. I don't want like Tales of The Walking Dead and all that. That stuff is fun for like extra stuff, but like I really want an original story because it's just so exciting to watch something new, right? But I also want to talk about Dead City here a little bit. Jeffrey Dean Morgan mentioned something in an interview with Den of Geek, which I haven't actually watched the whole interview, but I saw a little bit of it, and I really like the production of the interview. The quality of everything just looks absolutely incredible. So I definitely recommend going to go check that out. But he mentioned something anyways, or at least I saw it on Twitter or X, where, you know, Negan is going to be in a place in season 2 where it's almost as if he needs Maggie to save him. And when I saw that, I was like, that's really interesting. Like, having her, I guess, go to save him this season. Like, I was thinking about it. Like, would that be a smart move in terms of just the story overall? Would I like that? I don't know if I would. I think that's a little bit too much. Like, I'm not against the idea of Maggie forgiving Negan or just like, you know, being friends with him or whatever. Like, I'm not against that idea, but I just think with where they left off in season 1, that's a big jump to make in like the next episode sort of thing. But I don't think they're going to do that. I really think what's going to happen here is Maggie is going to end up back in New York City because of the Dama and what is happening with New Babylon. Because New Babylon, and we even learned that, like, New Babylon is going to start this war in episode 1. Like, literally, the actor who plays the Marshal, like Pearlie Armstrong, he confirmed that there's basically going to be a war that starts in the very first episode. So I think that's how Maggie gets involved in all of this. And eventually that's going to lead to obviously like finding Negan, and I don't know where the story's going to go at that point there, but I'm really excited for Dead City because I really can't wait to see how much more of the world that they're going to explore, because they're really going to be getting into the whole backstory of like New Babylon and some of the stuff with the Dama and what is happening in New York City, right? And I just want to know how many more communities are out there, how big New Babylon is. You know, is it as big as the Commonwealth? Like, what exactly is this place? And speaking of the Commonwealth, it was actually confirmed today in The Walking Dead Deluxe, number 92, I think is what they're on right now. But apparently the Commonwealth had an original name before the Commonwealth, and that was the Network, which is a very interesting name. I almost kind of like it a little bit more. Like it would be hard to reference like, oh, the network, you know, like when the group made it to the network. That kind of sounds like a lot to say. Like the Commonwealth, I guess, just makes more sense. But the Commonwealth to me is a very, you know, general name, because there's a lot of places have Commonwealths, right? So to me, it's a very just general name, whereas I think calling a place the network, that makes a lot more sense. But I also think that that's a name that makes way more sense for like a bigger story, sort of like the CRM, or like not even the CRM, but just like say there's a group that connects the CRM with like, you know, Madame Genet's group in France and like other bigger organizations around the world. Like calling them the network, that makes so much sense, right? So calling, you know, a smaller group like the Commonwealth, like the network, that's definitely a lot. But again, in the comic, the CRM, all of that doesn't exist. Which I was thinking about that, like, I don't know when we're going to get news stories for The Walking Dead again, but I think a time that we could expect it is likely around, I guess, when The Walking Dead finishes releasing their deluxe issues. Because right now, and they've been doing that for a while, like they're releasing their deluxe issues for The Walking Dead. It's just basically, it's the same issue as the original issues, but there's color now, right? So I think that that's what they're going to be focusing on right now, and I'm not sure when that's going to end. I mean, there's 192 or 193 issues of The Walking Dead, and they're just on 92 now. So they're like very close to being halfway. I think one issue, or I think it was 2 issues release a month or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is, or maybe they've changed that over the years. I don't know. Like the last time I was collecting was like around issue 30 or 40, so it's been a while. So in a couple of years from now, I think as soon as they're actually done releasing, you know, the deluxe version of the Walking Dead comics, I think at that point, you know, there's going to be a lot of questions of like, well, what's next? Like, is that it for the Walking Dead comics? And I think at that point is where we could get like this Walking Dead Next Generation, you know, story, or yeah, just something like that. I think that would be really cool. But anyways, I'm going to leave it here. Definitely post our thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.